Well, hello and welcome to another typical Boro podcast. I'm your host, Steve Dixon, as always. Keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you're listening via other platforms, please rate and review. It's always appreciated. And of course, you can listen to this podcast on every Tuesday on the Red Radio after Dave Roberts has finished spinning his discs. So, again, for 2 weeks in a row, we've got the dream team back together. On my screen, I have again Mr. John Cutler. Welcome, John.
Morning.
You don't sound very happy, John.
Well, we'll go into that, won't we?
And a welcome, as always, to Mr. Graham Bandy.
All right,
Graham.
All right. Good to go.
Right. Well, we ended last week's podcast, if you remember, with a little bit of positivity. Mr. John Cutler had Ben Doak whizzing down the Wembley turf, firing Middlesbrough to promotion in the playoffs. I did end the podcast laughingly, jokingly saying, I can't wait to discuss Swansea 3, Middlesbrough 0. That was a joke. However, what did occur was Swansea 1, Middlesbrough 0. Middlesbrough succumbed yet again. This time it was to a C. Jung Eom goal on the 26th minute, which was enough to see off the mighty Reds away from home. There was one change to the team. Ryan Giles come in for the injured Luke Ayling. There was speculation that Middlesbrough, with the defensive problems and injury problems that they had, were going to change formation, go to wing backs. That didn't happen. Michael Carrick set up as always with his 4-2-3-1 formation. And the game commenced, and to be polite, it was an absolute disaster from start to finish. Mr. Cutler, I'll come to you on the first half of the game, the tactics, and how you saw the first half unfold.
First of all, I'd like to apologise to anyone who booked Wembley hotels last week on my enthusiasm. You might as well cancel them now. I mean, let's be honest. The formation's always the same. The way we play is always the same. You don't need to scout Middlesbrough to see how we're going to play, because nothing ever changes. It's always the same. First half was dreadful, to be honest. I don't even think they knew that we were playing in red, because every pass seemed to go straight. I think there was only one player yesterday who you could say had a good game. The rest of them, including the subs who came on, were absolutely dreadful. You can't polish your head, that's just a fact.
I've been waiting for that famous quote to come back, John. The first half, let's be honest, there was some absolutely dreadful performances from the Middlesbrough side. I'll start with Morgan Whittaker, somebody that I'd spoke about last week. I was of the opinion he hasn't done enough to earn his start yet. I would rather Bergzal go starting. I think you two guys were happy to give the new signing Whittaker a bit more time. Well, yesterday, I'm not too sure that Azaz and Whittaker can play together in this Middlesbrough side. Not that they're both not decent players, but with the way Middlesbrough are at the moment, the way we're set up, we lack pace in wide areas, we lack pace up front. And I'm not sure having Azaz and Whittaker, even though they know each other, playing together, is working. The goal on the 26th minute was yet again Middlesbrough giving the ball away. It was Azaz and Whittaker getting mixed up in the midfield. They lost the ball. Eom ran away with the ball. Hackney, who had been so looking like a yellow card all game, different fouls he'd give away. The one time he actually should have fouled was on the goal. He had a chance to wipe him out on the edge of the box. For whatever reason, didn't. Eom set himself and bent a beautiful goal into the top corner past Mark Travers. Disappointing goal. I don't know what the tactics were. Michael Carrick's tactics setting up yesterday. It seemed to be that Middlesbrough were happy just to sit deep in our own half, passing the ball around, back into the midfield, back into the back four, back into the midfield. And we kept giving the ball away to Swansea, who broke onward, pressed onward. They clearly targeted Middlesbrough's fullbacks, Dyke Steele and Giles. They got at them, they got crosses in. The fullbacks weren't helped, I didn't think, by Force and Whittaker. getting back and helping fullbacks. But time and time again, Swansea got into areas and wide areas and exposed Middlesbrough. It was just a real poor, lacklustre first half display. Ryan Giles, again, I'm going to bring him into the equation. We've brought Ryan Giles back. I think we're going to get Ryan Giles that we had a couple of years ago. I think what we're seeing now is that Ryan Giles is the reason why he's being let go by Luton, the reason he's being let go by Hull, and the reason now he's now at Middlesbrough. For whatever reason, Ryan Giles doesn't look the same footballer. He had a dreadful first half. 3 times in that first half, there was crossfield passes from left to right, from right to left, sorry. Dale Fry whipped a great ball across him. Whittaker whipped a great ball across him. There was another one. All 3, he miscontrolled, lost the ball like a Sunday League player. And the one time he did get some space, deep into the second half, he got the ball on the left-hand side, loads of space, had an opportunity to whip a great ball into the box, and he absolutely shanked it into the stand. Michael Carrick doesn't make substitutions early, as we always complain about in this podcast. So when Michael Carrick takes off Ryan Giles at half-time and takes off Whittaker at half-time, that just shows you to me how poor both those individuals were in that first 45 minutes. It was a shambolic first half. Don't think Middlesbrough had a shot on goal first half. It was just a matter of time for Swansea taking the lead. When you got to half-time, the only plus point for me, Graham, was that it was 1-0 because it was a shambles.
Well, absolutely. The second half wasn't much better either. You know, it was a game that had already gone away from us, I thought. They were just far superior. Tempo, intensity, just better than us. We never even looked like scoring. 1 shot on target in 90 minutes. Unacceptable. The only plus point yesterday was that Carrick was actually reactive at half time. He hooked 2 players, which is a positive. But apart from that, that was it for me. There was nothing in that game to suggest that we were going to get anything from it. It was wrestled away from us from the first minute. The mindset wasn't right. The tempo that we played at was just sluggish, lethargic, horrific. Arguably the worst performance of the season. And we've seen some bad ones. So realistically, that takes some beating. You know, we can't play any worse than that. You know, Pat Carrick said, "Oh, we finished the game strongly." Did we? I didn't see that. I thought it was just pitiful. The whole 90 minutes was a shambles, and I sort of saw that result coming. I think fans were getting a little bit carried away. We beat Stoke, we beat Derby, we beat 2 bum teams, terrible sides, and we come to that Swansea game, a team that you'd expect us to get something from, but personally, I didn't see it. They moved the ball far too quick for us. Good progressive side, but they were just far better than us on the day, and we've got to be better. But I think we're going to see performances like that from now till the end of the season, if I'm honest, because the season's completely gone. May as well have our end of season party now, because there's nothing positive to talk about now. So where do we go from here? Start planning for next season, boys. I think that's what we got to do.
It's too early to be on the beach. It's too early to be on the beach, though, Cuts, isn't it? We've still got 10 games to go. We've still got season tickets to sell. We've still got home games at the Riverside. We've still got Leeds to come to the Riverside. These players are getting paid good money by the football club. They've got a duty of care to put a shift in. And when you see performances yesterday, like I said, by some of those players, and I'll even call out one of the better players, Finn Azaz, who yesterday was weak. He was caught in possession. He was slow. Yeah. He was giving the ball away. I mean, this is running right through the squad. It's a real problem going into the last 10 games for not just Michael Carrick, but for Steve Gibson as well, because, you know, we as a football club, we've got to sell these season tickets. We've got to show that the club are still trying to get up the table, trying to get into the Premier League, you know, trying to show ambition, because Steve Gibson, to be fair, has put his hand in his pocket, hasn't he, and tried to show ambition this season and back Michael Carrick. Steve Gibson must be in turmoil watching what's going on at the minute, Cuts, mustn't he?
You'd imagine so, yeah. Like you said there, Steve's backed the manager, Kieran Scott, has scouted what we thought were decent players. But, I mean, Force and Giles came off for half-time yesterday. Any of them 10 outfield players could have come off yesterday because, like you say, it's no good coming out at the end of the game and saying we finished strongly. Well, why didn't we start strongly?
Exactly.
Why are we going out like that? I mean, fair play to Swansea, they look good on the day, but we were absolutely abysmal. Terrible. any one of them 10 outfield players could have come off. We mentioned about Bergzorg, that even through our bad run, he was probably our best player. And I thought he injected a little bit of energy into the team when he came on yesterday.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think the outfield players, apart from him, and my man of the match would have been Travers. I thought he was excellent yesterday. Made some really good saves. Otherwise, the scoreline could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I've got down as in the plus points, which aren't many. I thought Borges kept going, playing out of position at the back. I thought Travers and I thought Dale Fry put his head in where it hurts and cleared the ball when he could. Other than those three players, but the last few weeks, I think Borges, Fry, and Travers are the only ones we've really been talking about is having good displays, which is a bit worrying. Two are defenders and one's the goalkeeper. I mean, we're going about Swansea. We're being kind about Swansea, saying they look a good progressive team. Swansea foiled this season. They've been really poor. They haven't scored many goals. They conceded a lot of goals. They're not in great form. And yet, for 60 minutes of that game, they totally controlled it and outplayed Middlesbrough. Last 20 minutes, Middlesbrough woke up a little bit when Bergzorg come on, like Cuts has alluded to. Middlesbrough start having a bit of a go. It's Swansea. And Swansea looked really poor. They look really poor, did Swansea. We've lost John Cutler. I hope he comes back on. Here he comes. He's coming. He disappeared for a minute, but he's coming back. I'll get him back.
He froze for a bit earlier. I thought he was in the butt of the fence.
There he is. He's back.
There he is. He's back.
But yeah, I mean, last 20 minutes, Middlesbrough had a go at Swansea. And Swansea look very, very average. They look vulnerable. Middlesbrough with a bit more potency, a better striker up front, might have got something from the game. I mean, it stands out like a sore thumb now. Losing Latte Lat, what a loss he's been, along with Ben Doak. Because I mean, we brought in Iniacho, and we're talking about Kieran scouting players. We had a player in Latte Lat who was quick. He was a goal scorer, but he also had the press where he worked the defence left to right, pressed them, which got Middlesbrough higher up the pitch, made the opposition make mistakes. What I find puzzling is the scouting team thought that Iniacho was going to be a decent replacement for Latte Lat. He doesn't. To me, Iniacho, he's only 28. He looks 28, but he's offered absolutely nothing. He looks like he's carrying a bit of timber. He doesn't look 100% fit. But even his skill set, he doesn't do the press like Latte Lat. He doesn't look like he's got a goal in him. He doesn't look particularly quick at all with the ball over the top. He's not a big enough fella to even be sort of holding the ball up or winning headers. I don't know what he's come to the football club for. The only thing I can think of is they thought he was going to be a little bit of a Tubarak Park 2, where he could sit in the hole behind Conway and dictate play. But I haven't seen anything of that at all.
He's not got the finesse or the mobility to do that. He's certainly not a 10, and I question whether he's a 9 as well. I just think he's absolutely useless. It smacks of panic buy, lastminute.com signing. You lose Lath. Who do we get to replace him? He'll do. Let's just get in, stick him in there, see if he's any good. He's no good.
But let's call a spade a spade, Bandy. Let's call a spade, Bandy. They knew that Latte Lat was leaving way before he left. There was rumours he was going in the summer. There was rumours before the window opened of his agent causing trouble. All through the window, the bids were coming in, going up, and from Atlanta. We knew eventually at some point he was going to go, as did Middlesbrough Football Club, as did Kieran Scott, as did Michael Carrick. They've got scouts all over the world and Europe. Where's the next Latte Lat off the conveyor belt? Playing in Switzerland, or playing in Germany, or playing in Italy, or France, or wherever. Where's the next Latte Lat with the skill set to come in? Or even someone in League One who's banging in the goals down in League One. Where's the scouting system? They've known he's been going, and yet the best they can bring in is Iniacho, who's in Spain on big money, sitting on his backside on the bench, who's clearly got no, I don't think, whether he's lost his mojo, lost his ambition, or what have you, or he's just physically not up with it at the minute. But you can't be telling me that was he was the number one target to replace Latte Lat.
It's shocking. When you say he's not up to it at the minute, he should be up to it. We should be bringing in players that are ready to hit the ground running. He's nowhere near. absolutely nowhere near, and he never will be. It's pitiful, really. The whole latte laugh situation has stunk the season out for me. I wasn't too enamoured by the initial move, the initial attempt to try and move, in the summer, last day of the transfer window. That was very disruptive. It took him a while to get his confidence going again. We never really hit the ground running. That's at the start of this season. We've always been in like recovery mode. And obviously the January transfer window was just the icing on the cake to lose him and not replace him. So you can only hope now that we're actively looking at a proper striker to come in the summer and start the season and get us off to a flyer. But I very much doubt it, to be honest. We always seem to react far too late to any given situation. Shambolic. It's been a horrendous season. I can't wait for it to end. I'm bored, honestly.
Let's not forget, we've also got rid of Josh Coburn in January, who scored yesterday. I mean, you can't tell me Josh Coburn wouldn't offer more than what Kelechi Iheanacho is at the moment.
I like Josh. He was a great plan B for us. Always put a shift in for us. Even if he didn't score, he was a useful foil up front and gave defenders something to think about. Whether it's balls into the box or balls over the top, he would try and get on the end of stuff. At least he had a bit of mobility. He wasn't blessed with pace, but he had that sort of dynamism to turn teams, and we just don't have that within Iheanacho. I mean, we could talk about Conway all day long. I'm a big fan of Conway, but at the moment we're not using him correctly because we've got this obsession with inverted wingers. That doesn't suit his game, sadly. So, and you saw the best of Conway when we had Duck flying down that right hand side, pinging balls at that near post. Conway getting his foot across and towing them in, but we don't have that dynamic now, sadly. So I think the season's just going to peter out, and we're just going to see the odd good performance mixed amongst a lot of terrible ones. 10 games to go? Don't see that too many wins in them 10 games, if I'm honest.
I mean, you mentioned about scouting Europe, and we knew it was always going to happen. If the press is to be believed, we were offered Adam Armstrong, Southampton, who eventually went on to West Brom. Now, I've banged on about him for a few years. He's proven at this level he's a good footballer. His work rate's really good. Now, they talked about financials not being right. Well, I would imagine West Brom can't be in much of a better position than us. And with players that we've sold, why did we not maybe push the boat out just for a few months? Do you know what I mean? He's proven at this level. We know what a good player he is. I mean, I don't know too much about Iheanacho, what he's been doing in Seville, but he looks way off. He looks nowhere near fit enough. He's done all right at Leicester in previous seasons, and I'm not writing him off, but he's definitely not. He doesn't look fit to me.
No, doesn't look fit to me either.
So Iheanacho doesn't look fit. Ryan Giles looks way off the pace. We've got an injury crisis at the back, whether it be Luke Ayling, whether it be Edmondson. Dale Fry went off worryingly yesterday with a tight calf, which is even more worrying when you look towards QPR. And a little bit of news came out over the last 24 hours with Kieran Scott bringing Eric Peters to the club, 36-year-old Eric Peters to the club, ex-PSV, Utrecht in Holland. He's played for Stoke. He's played for Burnley, recently West Brom. He's got 18 caps for Holland in a previous life, but he's come to Middlesbrough on trial. Is that a move either you guys are in favour of, or is it just basically just a panic signing because needs must?
Panic signing, 100% panic signing. Terrible, really. We've come to this situation, really, really bad. Particularly if you're letting Matt Clark go in the transfer window, and we never addressed that defensive situation. I call it out quite regularly. Said about the elephant in the room. We brought in Whittaker for 5 million and paid lip service to defending, really. And that was the biggest problem we've had pretty much all season, letting in bad goals. And we still continue to do that because we've not addressed that situation. Needed defensive cover, full-back positions, central midfield cover, for obviously the loss of Morris and Hackney if he ever gets injured. We've still not got cover in there. We've got Balazar, but he's no use to me. I don't rate him at all. So defensively, it's never been addressed, and now we're looking at a 36-year-old on trial. Wow. Is that where it's come to? So bad.
Cut the Bandy's just mentioned. I was going to mention it later, but I'll bring it in now since he's been mentioned, Mr. Dan Barlaser. Been on the social medias, he decided ex-Middlesbrough player Lewis O'Brien, who obviously he played 21 games for Middlesbrough. He's obviously
There's a player we should have signed.
Yeah, well, that's I've got to be honest. I wasn't a fan of Lewis O'Brien either, but that's another story. But anyway, Lewis O'Brien did play 21 games for Middlesbrough. He's obviously gone down, and Dan Barlaser's brain is a Middlesbrough legend, because you must be such an inspiration to Dan Barlaser that he thought it would be good when Lewis O'Brien posted back-to-back home wins. What a feeling to the Swansea fans. And Dan Barlaser thought it would be absolutely the right time to like that message on social media, along with Sammy Silvera, who's still on the Middlesbrough payroll, and obviously Latte Lat, who's disappeared to America. I thought that was really poor. Dan Barlaser has since taken down his like. Maybe he's been told by the club to take it down. However, to me, Mr. Cutler, that just shows that maybe all isn't well behind the scenes. There's problems within the Middlesbrough makeup, within the dressing room, within the coaching staff, the management team. When you've got a player who's sitting on the bench for Middlesbrough at Swansea, watching his team get beat, those Middlesbrough supporters who travelled down there like heroes all deserve a medal for yesterday for going down 6-7 hours or whatever it takes to get down, leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning. Dan Barlaser thought that would be a good time to like a post from Lewis O'Brien celebrating back-to-back wins at our expense.
Well, his media skills are obviously as good as his footballing skills. Bright as midnight. Absolutely bright as midnight. It's ridiculous. It's a complete show of disrespect to all the fans, not just the ones who went down, the ones that are watching games on the watching it on the telly, that are paying money. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe he did it. Never mind taking it down. In this day and age, people are going to Photoshop stuff, take pictures of it and what have you. It's out there for everyone to see. Now, for me, I wouldn't have him in the squad on Tuesday. You've got to send out a strong message. It's ridiculous. It's
I wouldn't have him anyway.
No, me neither. I don't rate the lad myself. But in the past, I suppose he's knuckled down. He's trying his best. Is he good enough? No. But to do something like that it's ridiculous. You can say we're making a big thing out of it, but it's stupidity. Like I say,
the problem is, John, we're not making a big deal out of it. We're pointing it out because the club keeps scoring own goal after own goal, and there's these little things starting to come off the carriage. Spring off the carriage, and the wheels are starting to come off a little bit. Little things you're hearing behind the scenes, little things that are happening. Michael Carrick's demeanour, Michael Carrick's interviews, the players, say posts and stuff. It's almost like what Bandy was saying earlier. They are on the beach already, really. Because Dan Barlaser probably knows he's leaving the football club in the summer. He nearly went in January to Derby. He probably knows he's leaving. Obviously, Lat's gone. He's like in the post. Sammy Silvera is still on the payroll, but he probably knows his days are numbered. He's away on loan. He's probably leaving the football club. So we've got a few bad eggs around the camp, but there might be a few more bad eggs within the camp that are still in and around the players, in and around the dressing room that we don't know about. And I think that the strain in the pressure is starting to show on the manager now. And we heard Michael Carrick's interview yesterday after the game on BBC Tees with Mark Drury. In my opinion, he came across moody, he came across brash, he came across slightly rude to Mark Drury on BBC Tees, who, to be fair to Mark, was asking legitimate questions on behalf of the fans. One point which, to me, I didn't like his answer. Mark Drury asked Michael Carrick. He said, "I'm sure the fans would like to hear your opinion on what the issues were and why it didn't go the way you trained for it to go." So Mark Drury was just basically saying, why didn't it go the way you wanted it to go? Why didn't it go the way you've trained for it to go? Explain to the fans, basically explain to the fans what went wrong today against Swansea. And Michael Carrick's reply was just, "I haven't got time to dissect the game. We're just not happy with how we played." Boom, and he was gone. The interview concluded. Now, to me, those fans, not just the ones that are watching like us yesterday, those fans that travelled down in the numbers yesterday to Swansea, they deserve some answers as to why that performance was so poor. And when he's being asked a direct question on BBC Tees as to why it was so poor and why you've trained all week, Michael, to play a certain way, why was it so poor? Surely it's Michael Carrick's duty of care as manager of this football club to give the fans some answers. And I'll come to you, John, on that.
At the end of the day, all he's got to say is, I've got it wrong. Hold your hands up. There's no point being rude. Is it pressure getting to him? Because he's normally really calm, comes across friendly. Maybe it's that. I mean, if we keep having performances like yesterday, which we've seen, let's be honest, it wasn't just yesterday. It's been going on for months, and nothing's changing. Ultimately, that's his job. So, for me, if this keeps going on the next couple of weeks, I don't see him making the end of the season, to be honest. I just don't, because we've seen some rubbish this year, but that was yesterday as bad as anything we've seen. And I don't think maybe he can answer it, because maybe he hasn't got the answers. Maybe he doesn't know. Ultimately, he's the guy who sets up the team. He picks the players, and it's just not working. So maybe it's a pressure thing. I don't know, but it's not really acceptable.
Graham, did the fans deserve an answer from Michael Carrick yesterday at that interview?
It would be nice. It would be nice for him to give an answer, but I do find it tricky in a situation like that. But he can't actually give an answer straight away because he doesn't know the answers himself. He really doesn't. He's soul searching. But he could have been a little bit more upbeat and positive regarding the interview. He was sharp. He was abrasive. He just looked the epitome of sort of bewilderment. He was lost for words, really, and Drury sort of pricked him a little bit, and he got aggressive in the end. He just didn't want to answer anything. He just said it's not for discussion. He couldn't pinpoint what went wrong. Well, own that performance. You're the manager. Just say it certainly wasn't good enough. He sort of fudged around the issue a little bit. He's got to be a little bit more prompt and a bit more secure, really, in what he's saying. He was a bit wishy-washy. He didn't really lay blame too much on any individuals. He could have hung any single individual in that team out to dry, barring probably Travers, who kept the score down to 1. But that's not his style. He doesn't operate like that. He is normally calm, assured, in control of himself. But I've noticed recently he's getting a little bit more prickly in his interviews, and he's feeling the pressure 100%. You can see it. But in terms of giving an answer, he could have given a little bit more particularly to the supporters who travelled down there. Absolutely miles away, long shift, awful performance. Just give them something to cling on to, but it wasn't in him. He couldn't do it. So back to square one again, aren't we? After a couple of half-decent performances against very poor teams, it was easy to possibly get carried away and think, we might have turned the corner a little bit. Something definitely went on after that Watford game, but we're back to square one. Probably in a worse position now than we were before. Obviously, losing Dork as well, that's pretty much sealed the season for me. That's done. I don't think he'll play again. Looking at a 36-year-old on trial. We've got injuries galore in defence. We've got forwards that aren't sparking. It's horrendous. So he's probably not got much to be cheering about himself, but he's got to find a solution. Otherwise, he'll find himself out of a job. And John alluded to it. It possibly might happen. That was the low yesterday. It was absolutely tragic.
Did those performances, John, against Stoke and Derby just paper over the cracks? Because let's be honest, they were a poor Derby side and a poor Stoke side. And Middlesbrough managed to get back-to-back wins, which we don't do very often. But the performances weren't absolutely outstanding. We got the job done, which we accepted. But when we played Swansea yesterday, who were probably a level slightly above Stoke and Derby, we'll come undone again. We were discussing last week, John, about Michael Carrick, and we both agree that if we don't make the playoffs this season, he probably should be removed from his job. We're not making the playoffs this season, John, are we?
I don't want to write us off, because we've seen some of the performances that the players can put in. I mean, you're saying about papering over the cracks. At times this year, we've played some really good football. So maybe, this is pure speculation, by the way, maybe now the players have lost confidence in the manager. They still seem to be working hard enough. I know we've had a bit of a cheerleading group going on the last couple of weeks when we got 2 wins, but maybe some of the players are losing confidence in the manager. Now, I hate the modern game where players stop playing for a manager, because ultimately they're not playing for that manager, they're playing for us, the fans. And I don't like it. We've seen it happen to top managers, like when Mourinho was at Chelsea, they won the league, then he had fallen out and they were 10th, and they just stopped playing. And then when he went, they started playing well again. That's modern football. It's wrong. The players in the squad are definitely good enough to make the playoffs. We've seen how well we can play. But like I say, maybe they are losing confidence in the manager. And although Steve's in the background, he'll see that himself. Now, you've alluded about the injuries at centre half. God knows who's going to play there on Tuesday or Wednesday. But I think it's getting to the point now where if we do lose and performances keep like yesterday, what is it, 2 wins in 17 or something like that? That's nowhere near good enough. I don't care who you are as a manager, you're under massive, massive pressure. So I don't think, although I said last week, I think it's 50-50 of whether fans want Michael to stay or not. Ultimately, that decision is going to be made for me in the next couple of weeks, because if we're away from the playoffs, he's going to be gone.
You see, I'm just going to be honest. I've said for a while now, if we don't make the playoffs, I do with Michael Carrick, and I've said on record I'm bored of Michael Carrick, bored with his football, bored with his interviews before games, after games. I'm just going to be honest. I would remove him, possibly even before the end of the season. I think the club need now to do something for next season to re-energise the support, re-energise the club, get people looking forward to next season, give us something to dream about, and going in a direction. I'll be amazed if Kieran Scott isn't thinking down those same lines. I mean, I put down a couple of stats from yesterday regarding the club. Since the 21st of December, we've played 15 games in the league. We've won 4, lost 7 and drew 4. So from a possible 45 points since the 21st of December, we've took 16. And you can chuck on top of that, we've also got beat in the FA Cup off Blackburn at home as well in that run. And I look back to the 1920 season when we had Jonathan Woodgate at the helm and we got saved by Neil Warnock. We finished 17th that season with 53 points. We lost 19 games that season. This season, we've lost 14 already, and we've still got 10 to play. So, just to put it in perspective, if you look at how poor we were then and what a poor squad we had, and everything was shambolic, and we were really panicking then for actually getting relegated. We've got, with all three we agree on here, at the start of the season, we had a top 6 squad. For us to be having stats that by the end of the season could be similar to Jonathan Woodgate's, it's shambolic. We've won 2 out of the last 10 away games, losing 7. I mean, these stats are damning. They're horrendous stats from a team that should have ambition to be in the Premier League. And we went at the start of the season with a squad, excitement with Lat, Ben Doak, Finn Azaz. You're looking at Riley McGree, who's disappeared off the face of the earth. These type of players at the start of the season, you're thinking, well, surely Riley McGree, Lat, Finn Azaz, Ben Doak, Hayden Hackney, Aidan Morris. What a good night this is going to be. We could really be pushing here towards the Premier League. To be in a situation now where we're looking at bringing on 36-year-old Johnny Howson at centre-back. We're looking to bring in 36-year-old Eric Peters. We're looking to put Iniacho up front. How badly the season's gone is just beyond comprehension. And for that alone, I would remove Michael Carrick from his position. I think his time has come and gone. And the club have got to move on from this quickly, because the attendances over the last 3 years have been steadily excellent. We've been getting regularly 25, 26, 27,000. If this nonsense continues into the summer with Michael Carrick, I'm going to buy my season ticket because that's what I do. So will you two guys, because you love the club regardless of who's in charge or what's happening. You get your season ticket, and there'll probably be 14, 15,000 others like us. But there's going to be that other 9 or 10,000 that are sitting there going, I ain't parting with 600 quid to watch this next season. And those are the guys that Steve Gibson's going to have to turn around between now and next August to put their hands in the pocket to back the football club next season. And I don't think many of those people are going to put their hands in the pocket to watch a fourth season of Michael Carrick football. I really don't. So, as far as I'm concerned, do you remove him now with 10 games to go? Do you leave it till the end of the season and remove him? I don't. I'm not quite sure on that one. But all I do is something drastic is going to have to happen between now and May for fans to part with the money, because it's gone too far this season. It's gone down the Swanee very, very, very quickly, and we need to regroup. Because, like I've said last week, with the Lat money, this football club financially is in a good position to go again next season. But you've got to have the fans on board with that. This football club, the fans are the heartbeat of the club, and you've got to have the supporters on board right from the start in the summer. And I don't think it's going to be with Michael Carrick in charge.
I think there's a massive degree of apathy around the club at the moment. I think we're treading water. I think we'll continue to tread water between now and the end of the season. Carrick's obviously under serious scrutiny. The chairman will be watching his every move, be picking up on every single issue at the club or within the team. It's pretty evident we're so bad at the moment. It's untrue, but I don't think he's going to act. I don't think he's going to do anything between now and the end of the season. I really don't. I think he's just content. He had his opportunity to hook him, possibly Watford game, and it never happened. He came out with public support for him, and we're now at a situation where we're just ticking the games off. If we win one, great. If we get beat, who cares? Nobody's bothered, apart from the fans. So it's going to be awful between now and the end of the season for me personally. I think it's just dreadful. If he does go, then I wouldn't be too upset, because it's if somebody goes, somebody new comes in, you're full of hope, optimism again. But I do want to see Michael Carrick succeed. Personally, I think he will stick with him, and I think he'll start next season with him. But I could understand fans' frustrations, and I could totally understand if he was to be removed between now.
So Graham, I'm just going to interrupt you there. I'm just going to interrupt you. You're thinking Steve Gibson will stick with Michael Carrick regardless in this summer? Yeah? No. So my question is, you're Steve Gibson making that decision.
Yeah.
Give me your reasons why you think things are going to get any different next season. Because when his first season he took over, when we'll keep talking about great football, and we got into the playoffs. His second season, we missed out and we come 8th. This season, it looks like it could possibly be worse again. We could end up coming 9-10 this season. So each season, the progression in the football has got worse, regardless of the spend. If you're Steve Gibson, what's your reasoning for going with Michael Carrick next season?
Because of the way he plays the game. I think it is entertaining. It's been proven that we can play some.
Is it entertaining?
Well, it's been proven over time.
I'm not entertained.
Well, I personally am at times, but not enough. Obviously, he's got to find that balance between winning games and playing brilliant football. At the moment, he's way off it. But you're only as good as your players, and we haven't got any good players, barring a handful of decent ones. But one of them's going to go back to Liverpool. Who can you hang your hat on at the moment in terms of a player who's going to consistently give you 8, 9 out of 10 every single week? Can you find any? Have we got any?
Probably
is that Carrick's? Well, yeah. Well, there you go. He's had a player. He's had the rug pulled from beneath him with laugh. I told you before, that was the biggest downfall of this season for me. The season hinged around him. He was pivotal to the press. We penned teams back. We got at teams. He's a 1 and 2 man. He'd always get you a goal, but we don't have him. We've moved him on. Now, is that Carrick's fault? Did he really put his hand up and say, yes, I think we should sell that here, lad? I very much doubt it. I think he's been told that he's going, and that's it. And obviously, he tried to engineer a move, so there's no way we're ever going to keep him. So the chairman's been happy to let him go. He's took the money for him, and has it been spent wisely? Absolutely not. So I think he'll stick with him. I really do. It's easy to say, let's go and get Steve Cooper in or whatever. He'll turn it round. Will he? Will he be able to turn it round with the players we've got? Because them players are throwing Carrick under the bus every single week. But he's also culpable himself. He's got to learn how, to manage through games and make decisive decisions, which sometimes supporters can see and he can't. But I genuinely think he'll stick with him. Yeah, I do. And he'll start the season with him. And if it's probably not going to plan late September, October, then he'll hook him and he'll bring somebody else in. So
and then another season's gone up to Swansea. That's my concern. To me, he's had 3 years of it and failed ultimately. And
he's never been reactive for years.
As I say, I'm not entertained at all by Michael Carrick's football at all. I was entertained when Juba Akpom was here and then players, but there you go. The last season and a half, I haven't been entertained at all. Sporadically, if 45 minutes here, one game here, 45 minutes here, a couple of great goals here and there, good passing movements. But as a whole, I haven't been entertained at all. I think it's boring watching them fiddling about at the back, losing the ball, giving away cheap goals, passing it around 100 times in the midfield. The team this season, it's bereft of pace and ideas. That yesterday, that doesn't entertain me. Not a jot. I'd rather see a team go out there, 4-4-2, get stuck in, play for the shirt and graft a 1-0 win than watch that nonsense that I watched yesterday. Michael Carrick's football, it's becoming a myth. I think people are so obsessed with what happened 2 years ago when we did play some exhilarating football and some of the best we've seen in 30 years. They've got that lodged in the brain, but for the last 30, 40 games, it's been pretty poor. It's getting worse, and it's at a point now where I don't even think we're playing Michael Carrick football. I just think he's playing anything to try and get a result. You watch the way we don't even play out from the back anymore. He's got Travers hammering the ball anyway up the pitch. What happened to the Senny Dieng dribbling the ball out the box and playing from the back? Zach Steffen playing the ball at the back from the box. We're just hammering the ball anyway. There's no tactics. Ryan Giles getting down the wing. He's putting the ball in row Z. There's nothing of this team that looks on mirror images Michael Carrick football. The midfield, they're not breaking forward. There's nobody going between the lines, getting in the box. They're just passing it sideways. There was numerous times yesterday Hackney and Morris got on the ball, and the ball was there to play forward to a Middlesbrough player, and they turned around and knocked it back to Dale Fry. Turned around, knocked it back to Dijksteel. Pathetic. There's nothing in this team that mirror images Michael Carrick's football at its best, and I don't think Michael Carrick knows what to do about it.
Would you remove him now then and try and chase the season and try and obtain a playoff spot, or would you just tread water?
I'll tell you what I would do. I would remove him now, and I would put Grant Ledbetter and Jonathan Woodgate in charge until the end of the season. Just because, not because I hate Jonathan Woodgate and Grant Ledbetter, I just think, look, they're both at the club. We're not going to go down. We're not going to make the playoffs. But removing Michael Carrick will show that the club's got intent for something new and exciting to happen in the summer. They're not happy with how it's going. They're not accepting how it's going. And they're just going to, a new broom's going to sweep clean. We might appoint a new manager before the end of the season, but we definitely will in the summer. And we're going to just put them two in charge for the end of the season. But at least they're showing that they've got a plan for the summer. At least they've got an idea to change things for the summer. But just carrying on with Michael Carrick like this, insipid football, the rest of the season, what we're going to do for the last 10 games, beat QPR at home possibly, then we're going to lose to Blackburn, then we're going to lose to Leeds, lose to Millwall, then we might beat Plymouth, then we'll lose to Sheffield, then we might lose to Norwich, we might lose to Coventry. What's the point? Yeah. That's not showing any ambition at all. It's just running the season out. It's not doing anything for the supporters to give them any belief to put their hand in the pocket to be excited for the summer. I don't get it. But look, that's just my opinion. I'm vocal on it. I'm opinionated on it because I'm hurting as a Middlesbrough supporter. I'm really upset with how this football club is being run, both on and off the pitch, and I've had enough of it. And that's
for me. We saw after the Watford game the discontent amongst the fans. Now let's hope it doesn't happen. But if QPR come here and beat us, the boos will be louder. It'll be pretty toxic, to be fair. If the performance against QPR is similar to yesterday and we get beat, I think his position will become untenable. Now, you're saying, is there any point making a change now? And will he be there next season? If we don't make the playoffs, there's no way he's going to be there next season. Because, like we said earlier, they've put money into the club. Kieran Scott would have expected minimum playoffs. I'm sure Steve will have done privately. All the fans did. There's no way he's going to be next season if we don't make the playoffs. And for me, it'll happen before then if performances don't improve. Like, say, Tuesday, QPR's it could be very toxic. And that ultimately will make the decision. Because Steve's not going to go into next season with the fan base booing and hurling abuse at players and managers. Very rare that a manager will turn a fan base back around after they've gone against him. I don't see that happening at all. Like I say, let's hope we don't lose against QPR. But if we do, I think we could see a change this week, mate. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at the Middlesbrough squad cuts, for next season. And I was looking at the 25-man squad of the loan players and senior players. I'm not including your Harley Hunts and the younger players in the squad, Finch and people like that. Just the senior players and the loan players. And I was looking through the day, trying to be honest with myself, and who I would keep for next season. I would like to see Travers stay if we could do a deal for Travers, the goalkeeper. We've got Sol Bryn. I'd like to keep Sol Bryn.
Yeah.
Defenders.
You've got two good keepers there competing for the number one slot. Yeah, definitely.
So I was saying that those two, the rest can go. Defence, I had Dale Fry down, Borges down, and Rav Vandenberg. However, with Vandenberg, if we got a decent offer, I would consider it because I think he's been very, very average this season. If you can get £15 million for Rav Vandenberg, in my opinion, could be replaced quite easily. Midfield-wise, the Zaz I've got down Hackney, with another question mark around Hackney, because again, we get an offer for £15-20 million for Hackney. In my opinion, I'd be tempted. I really would. I don't think he's consistent enough week in, week out. I would be tempted at that type of price for Hayden Hackney, but I would keep him along with the Zaz. Aidan Morris and Lowe McCabe deserves a chance, in my opinion. Forward-wise, Bergzorg I'd keep. Conway I would keep. Whittaker I would keep because we've just signed him and surely he's going to produce better stuff moving forward in the Middlesbrough shirt. And I put Ben Doak as a joke because there's no way we're keeping Ben Doak. He's off. So that accumulated to 13 players out of 25. You can take away Ben Doak because he's gone. That goes down to 12. I'd be happy to accept good money for Hackney and Vandenberg, which would knock you down to 11. So what I'm trying to say there is, out of the squad, there's not many players I'm particularly excited about keeping moving forward. For me, they're all fair game to be moved on. They're either not good enough, or they're too old, or the loan players that I wouldn't keep on, like Iniacho, people like that.
We've got a huge recruitment problem, then, haven't we?
Correct.
With the players
so that's the point I'm getting to. The plan over the last few years regarding Kieran Scott has been to try and build up a squad season after season that's going to get stronger and stronger season after season to have a real assault on getting to the Premier League. And the point that you've just brought up excellently there, Graham, is I'm looking at the summer and thinking we've got another huge recruitment plan on our hands to try and get what available to get to the Premier League yet again. Well,
you're always going to have that problem if you sell your best players at the first drop of a hat. Look at the players we've lost. It's staggering, really, the quality that we've had and we've let go. We're never going to get anywhere. We may as well rename ourselves Middlesbrough 10th or something, because that's where we're always going to finish around that spot. Because as soon as we get a whiff of success or someone who's half decent, he's gone. Gibson's running it as a business, not as a football club, in my opinion. So he doesn't care tuppence about supporters. He's just happy to get the money into the club to keep us solvent, which is admirable. But at the same time, you've still got to have a bit of ambition to try and get out of this godforsaken league, which we seem to be completely embroiled in. We never ever seem to be making any progress. That we blew a big opportunity against Coventry in the playoffs first time round, and then after that, we've never really come close, in my opinion. We've never been good enough. That first season under Carrot, when we had Akpom firing, Giles looked like a proper player. I think we've got the redundant version now. It's just absolutely hopeless. We had something going for us, and then obviously we couldn't hold on to Akpom, lost him, brought Rodgers in, he hit the ground running, started to play really well, off he goes to Aston Villa, and then we've seen the same with Latela. So we're never going to get anywhere if we continue to sell our best players, and good players can make a good manager. So at this moment in time, I think Carrick is struggling because he doesn't have enough good players, particularly his defence, which is letting him down week on week. And in my opinion, he's far too protective of them. It would be nice to actually hang a few of them out to dry, but that's not his way. Never will be. I see our situation similar to Ruben Amorim at Man United. He's got this formulaic way of playing. You know, he likes to play three centre backs, wing backs. Are his players comfortable with the way he wants to play? Are Middlesbrough players comfortable with the way Carrick wants to play? It's a similarity I stumble upon week when United don't get results. I often think that's a similar situation to what's happening with Carrick at Boro. And as supporters, we're trying to back the manager, we're trying to put everything behind him, but he's just undoing himself week on week. I mean, he's made decent progress. Derby and Stoke, you think, okay, possibly it bought him a bit more time, but it's all been undone with yesterday's performance. Shambolic, and you can understand why he was so angry in his interview, because they definitely threw him under the bus yesterday. That was just, they didn't even turn up. Garbage. So if we're looking for blame, then it's a collective. It's not just the manager, it's the players as well. And I don't believe we've got good players.
It's a great point you make about Man United and Amorim.
It's just similarities, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great point you make. And ultimately, Amorim's going to end up getting the sack the same way as Carrick's going to get the sack, because as a manager, if you haven't got the tools to do the job, you've got to adapt and change.
Yeah.
So it's no good putting round pegs in square holes. You've got to adapt. If you haven't got the players to play the Amorim way at Man United, ultimately you're going to fail and you're going to lose more games and you're going to get the sack. Same with Middlesbrough. We haven't got the skill set to play the Michael Carrick way. We haven't got the pace anymore. We've lost a lot of pace out the side to break on teams. It's noticeable now when we actually break the press of the opposition and get into the final, 2/3 of the pitch, where we'd normally spring on them with pace left and right and up front and behind. We haven't got it. We look pedestrian going forward. So if you can't do it, you're going to have to change your ways, your tactics, aren't you?
You're going to look pedestrian with inverted wingers and a striker that can't move. In terms of in actual, you're going to look pedestrian. You're not going to get up the pitch quick. Ben Doak was our out ball all season. Get the ball at him, takes his man on, gets the ball into the box, and then you flood the box in the hope that you get on the end of something. That's not happening now because we don't have him. So we're playing.
Where would we be this season if we hadn't had Ben Doak for that spell when he came in and transformed the season?
You'd be probably bottom 8 all season. And if we don't recruit in the summer, that's where we'll be next season. So dare I say it, there could be a whiff of a relegation battle if we persist with what we're doing at the moment. But it's down to personnel. You can blame the manager all day long. With better players, he'd become a better manager, 100%. And I do enjoy the way he tries to play the game. But at the moment, it's not working. And he's not showing any signs of trying to change it, because that's his philosophy. That's his way. He won't change it. He's stubborn. That's what angers me most about him. He is too stubborn. And he's hell-bent on this system, which doesn't seem to suit the players. And I'm the same at Man United.
Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap up in a second. Before I do, I'm going to ask you a question before we finish. But I'm just going to have a little bit of positivity, because obviously last week I mentioned that we had prizes up for grabs, 3 90s retro shirts, courtesy of our sponsor, Midas Cladding at Middlesbrough, and we have 3 winners. So the winners are, and well done to all 3 of you, the red John Henry kit, or strip, is going to Steph Arnold 93. The white Paul Wilkinson shirt is going to GWH 4015, which is Graham Horner, and the blue Craig Hignett shirt is by James Bell 29. So producer Sophie will be in touch with you 3, and she'll take your sizes for the kit that you want, and we'll send them off to you as quick as possible. So well done to Steph, Graham, and James. Well done to you 3. So just to finish off, guys, QPR Tuesday night under the lights at the Riverside. It's probably going to be one of those nights. Going to be probably a poor attendance, cold. QPR are going to come sit with probably 10 behind the ball. Because, as quick as you can, are Middlesbrough going to get 3 points Tuesday night, Graham? And I'll ask the same to you, John.
Yes, 1-0. Just scruffy, horrible 1-0.
Mr. Cutler?
I'll say yes, but I'll go for 3-2. I don't see any way we can keep a clean sheet with no centre halves.
Good point. I'll what should I say? We don't do predictions on this podcast. I'll tell you what, just for the sake of it, I'll go 2-2. There you go, to Desmond. We'll get a draw. I'll go in the middle. Anyway, listen, guys, thanks for coming on. I know it's been a bleak podcast to do, but we've got to tell it like it is. That's what we do. We're here when they're doing well, like last week, we'll praise them. But it's been a tough podcast to do, but I hope the supporters that are listening to it appreciate our honesty. It's just our thoughts, just how we see it. So don't take it personally if you don't agree with what we're saying. If you listen to our opinions, we're just going to give them every up the Boro.
Up the Boro.